a messy mind. Think I need to help you. I'm gonna try. Cute as hell, baby, hotter than flames. Wanna burn together in a million ways. Now let me take the lead. Know you wanna play with me. Got secrets you might wanna see. You might wanna see. You might wanna. I know I'm not gonna regret this. Wanna get reckless, put you to the test, yeah. I know I'm not gonna regret this. I wanna get reckless. I wanna get reckless. I wanna get reckless. I wanna get reckless. Couldn't keep your poker face. But boy, you kept me waiting when I wanted to race. Sweet as hell, baby, your sugar rush. I knew you were giving, temptation was craving. You love it, you hate it. Now let me take the lead. Know you wanna play with me. Got secrets you might wanna see. You might wanna see. You might wanna. Lock the doors, zip it off. Kiss my neck when you want more. Scream your name deep in the night. Work your way around my thighs. Explore my hips, my gauntlet eyes. I scream your name, I shut it down, 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 down. I know I'm not gonna regret this. Wanna get reckless, put you to the test, yeah. I know I'm not.
What's the story, SmackDown fans? Tonight's topics on the Wrestle story are The Miz responds to Shane,
The IIconics being iconic,
big match for Rey Mysterio announced for Wrestlemania.
and Kofi Kingston attempts the impossible.
All that and more coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Wrestle Story, where we stream after every Raw on Monday night, after every SmackDown on Tuesday, after every NXT on Wednesday, and after every pay-per-view. We also have a prediction show before every pay-per-view, and we also will have a special Hall of Fame show
Stream coming up
on-
here soon in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, for
Because-
WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleMania weekend will be fun.
Yes.
You'll see a lot of us. So tonight is Tuesday. We are talking about SmackDown Live, where Kofi Kingston was attempting the impossible, and unfortunately,
The impossible was just too impossible.
yeah, it was.
Actually, the impossible wasn't impossible. It's what Vince McMahon did that made it
After the
impossible.
fact that made it impossible. So, before we get to that, because that closed the show, that was the last hour of the show, we need to start off with the opening of the show. Miz came out and he addressed Shane. He showed a video from last week where he came out, explained why he did what he did, and then he talked about what Shane's friendship to him, what their friendship meant to him, and that, you know, it was all to prove, to have him help me prove to my dad that I was good enough, and to have his dream of becoming tag team champions come true. And then he said he just threw it all away.
Yeah, is Miz's dad just a jerk or what? If that's what he thinks of his son, he must be a real jerk.
The reason Shane turned on Miz was because of because of Miz's father.
Yes.
That's essentially what he was saying right there.
Pretty much.
So then he talked about how people backstage told him that when they got together as a tag team, they need to that Miz needs to watch out. He needs to be careful because Shane might look like a nice guy on the outside, but when you really get to know him and you let him inside a bit, he will
stab you in the back.
Yeah, pretty much. Stab you in the back. That was the main point he got across there. And then he said that Shane is rotten to the core just like his father. And that Shane nor Vince owns The Miz, or Kofi for that matter. And I put out a tweet on Twitter. I said, hold up a second. Has Miz been hanging out with Ronda Rousey? Because Ronda Rousey is not owned by WWE. So she says. And now The Miz is doing it too?
Yeah, and, well, you know, I thought this was one of the better promos to start off SmackDown.
I do too. I think this is one of the best Miz promos I've ever seen ever. In the last couple weeks, this is the best promo that he has cut by far.
It got a huge pop from the crowd. The crowd was really into it, and I felt that this is one of the better promos that they've had on SmackDown in a while.
Agreed. But I thought it was very funny that they did that underlining. He's going to be like Ronda Rousey type situation where you don't own me.
Yeah. Well, then he talks about Kofi Kingston too, you know, and so obviously they're really pushing Kofi Kingston here.
Mind you, Kofi Kingston was mentioned all throughout this show. Every segment, Kofi was mentioned in some capacity, whether it was, oh, I'm rooting for Kofi or good luck to Kofi or whatever. Just getting Kofi's name in the segment. They did it in every single one. Which
probably kind of would lead you to believe that there was going to be a big disappointment at the end.
Probably.
You know, it's when they promote something that much, it's too good to be true as to what they're promoting.
Yeah.
And so I think that people, you know, get all excited about it, and then, you know, there's going to be this big letdown at the end.
Yeah. So then going forward, Shane came out and said this. No, he didn't. The Miz was out there. He says, you know, all my life I've been told I'm not good enough, whether it's my father, whether it's fans, whether it's whoever. All my life I've been told I'm not good enough, but look at me now. And Shane, believe me when I say, when I get to WrestleMania, I'm going to give you the beating of your life. And so I'm expecting that match to be
the beating of Shane McMahon's life.
Yeah. I feel like almost if they're going to take it that route, I know they already have a no-holds-barred match, which, you know, Triple H and Hunter. But they could probably even turn this into like a street fight or something where they get to use like the trash cans and Shane can do his coast-to-coast from here to there. Shane can retaliate next week and say, you want me to get the beating of my life? Well, hey, listen, bud, I make the rules here, and you're going to get the beating of your life at WrestleMania because this match is now going to be turned into a street fight.
I think that, you know, obviously Shane's going to lose, I'm pretty sure. Because Shane really, you know, he's not a good wrestler. He's a big, high-risk person.
Yeah.
All of his matches, he does high-risk moves. So I think that this is pretty obvious where this is going to go.
Miz is going to win.
And, you know, Shane will be done.
Or maybe they'll shock us and maybe Miz won't win. Maybe Shane will win and it'll be ongoing and then Miz will disappear and Shane will be like, I'm the reason you left.
They could set up a WrestleMania for next year. The Miz takes a year off, has a kid, comes back next WrestleMania and fights Shane again and destroys him.
They could. Now the thing about this, what they're doing with Miz, is he is in the babyface position. Normally in this situation, he would be the heel. Normally that's where they put him.
This is why I thought
he's a babyface this time, and I think for it being a babyface promo where he's gonna try and get across as the good guy, it was really good for the Miz.
Yeah, I thought it was a good promo for, you know, trying to get off as being the babyface of, you know, of this particular situation, and I thought that his promo was really good.
I 100% agree. It was really, it was like I said, one of the best promos I've ever seen Miz cut in the last few weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe this is what he needed. Maybe he needs to be a babyface for a little bit and kind of win over some of those fans, and then whether they decide to turn him heel again, you know, I think at some point they probably will because that's just the Miz's character.
Well, I think they need to watch and see where this goes, and because like I said, he got a big pop from the crowd with his promo and stuff. And I understand
See,
it. It's towards Shane McMahon, so that's going to have some of the issue is how, getting that pop. So, we'll see where this all goes and where this leads to.
See, that's where, like, what they did when they turned Becky back at SummerSlam of last year when she started to turn heel, but she's not really heel now. She's kind of neutral. She's not really a babyface, but she's not heel either. She's just in the middle. And, like, she was getting over with the fans, but then after she, like, beat up Charlotte Flair, her, like, that character switch, and then people were, like, behind her.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just one step, and maybe this is what The Miz needs.
Possibly.
He just needs to turn babyface for a bit and get fans behind him, and then he's going to be good, and he'll have people behind him all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
So maybe that's what they needed to do. So next, we see Sasha and Bayley versus the IIconics, and this is the first time Bayley has ever been on SmackDown, and it's the first time Sasha Banks has been on SmackDown in a long time.
I think
this is the first time they're on SmackDown as the women's tag team champions.
Yeah. I think, and then, during the match, I thought overall it was a decent match.
Mm-hmm.
Not great, decent.
And I put out a tweet about this. I was like, I would love the IIconics if they just stop screaming. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Just stop screaming, man. And I will be behind you 100% because your in-ring ability is good. You're good in the ring. And your characters are different, and I like the whole iconic thing. Just get rid of the screaming, man, and you'll be set. And I will be a full-fledged IIconics fan. But get rid of the screaming.
Yes, definitely. The screaming it gets annoying.
It does. So, in the middle of this match, we have the classiest and sassiest Lacey Evans, who comes out and does her walking down the ramp, waving yet again.
In
the middle of the match.
They're setting her up for something big.
They are.
She's interrupted too many things. She's walked down on too many matches.
She was not on Raw, so maybe they're gonna keep her on SmackDown for a bit.
Well, who knows what they're gonna do with her? I mean, she's always, and you don't know what direction they're gonna go with her because it's been different people that she keeps coming down and kind of interrupting. And maybe they're playing the storyline that she's just checking things out to see who she wants to go after first.
Well, I think it's very funny because I didn't watch it. I listened to the Lillian Garcia Chasing Glory podcast with Lacey Evans that came out recently. And she talked about how, she hasn't gotten the call yet as to which brand she's on because she got asked about that. And she was like, now I'm just waiting. I'm just going back and forth right now. And this was back at the Royal Rumble that she had been told, we're just going to have you go back and forth. And this is what's happening. We don't have a set brand for you yet. And they're still playing off of that. So, I mean, you can almost assume that they have something big planned for her, right?
Well, you'd almost think she'd have to go to SmackDown.
Yeah, you would. I saw somewhere talking about her and Natalya having a feud first before she gets into anybody else. But Natalya's on Raw, and Natalya right now is doing the Beth Phoenix thing. So then are they going to wait until after WrestleMania to do that, or are they not doing that at all?
Well, I don't think they're going to do anything with her until after WrestleMania because I don't see... I mean, unless they do something like next week.
She'll probably be... If she's going to be at WrestleMania at all, she'll probably be in the Women's Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's like Andre the Giant Memorial thing, it's the women's variation.
Yeah, so I think that, because I don't see her really being in a match right now.
And see, the other thing about that, the issue where people are going to start, or where they're going to start having an issue with there, is all their women are going to either be in the Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch match, or the Sasha Banks, Natalya, Beth Phoenix, potentially Nia Jax in the IIconics match. And there are 8 women right there that could be in your match that wouldn't be. Then you have Asuka, who does not have a match yet at WrestleMania, but most likely is going to. And there's speculation, which, by the way, we didn't see Asuka tonight. We did not. Not a big shocker there, but, I just thought I'd mention that. So they're going to, they can't use up their whole roster on multi-people matches because then you won't have anybody to put in the women's battle royal.
The thing is they've got enough wrestlers. I mean, between NXT, NXT UK, there's wrestlers that they could bring in. You could bring in Rhea Ripley and have her be in there. I mean, there's lots of things, lots of ways they could go with it.
I would love to see Rhea Ripley put in that match. I'd love to see her win it. I would love to see her then be moved up to the main roster because why not? Because she is awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
She is so good on NXT UK, and they have Toni Storm too, which I also really like Toni Storm. But of course, she's the UK champion right now, so they wouldn't bring her up. You would think, but maybe they would. Who knows? But it would be so cool to see both of them up on the main roster sometime soon because they are both amazing.
Well, I don't think I think both of them are close to. But then who knows? Because they really have no guide on where they're going with some of the people that have brought up. So without having storylines for these people, it makes it difficult to bring them up and use them. Yeah. Although I've said this before that. The issue is they could create all these storylines. You could have like your high profile storyline and then your mid card storyline and then your lower card storyline, and they just don't use all the wrestlers. And so I think that's part of the problem with a lot of their shows is people don't see this as being entertaining because you see the same things over and over and over again.
Yeah. And
if they would incorporate more wrestlers into this, I think that more fans would be more interested in what is going on rather than just, great, we get to see the same thing again. I mean, it's the same thing again.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sasha Bayley...
Sasha and Bayley
match, you knew who was going to win just because it's setting up WrestleMania.
Well, not necessarily, because as the first defense on SmackDown, I wasn't sure if... Well, defense, what am I saying? They didn't defend the titles. As a first match on SmackDown for them, I wasn't sure if they would put the IIconics over or if they would have Sasha and Bayley win. Just due to the fact that that both of them have not been on SmackDown. Well, Bayley's never been on SmackDown before. But Sasha, it's her first time coming back, and it's their first time as the tag champs. So I wasn't sure what they were going to do there. But the IIconics did end up getting a win over Boston Hug Connection after they Peyton Royce went for the pin and Billie Kay held Sasha's foot down so she would stay down. And so they got the win. And this is where they're probably going to come in next week and say, all right, Beth Phoenix and Natalya want a match against you at WrestleMania. Well, guess what? Add us to that match. And then, of course, Nia Jax and Tamina will intervene and say, hey, we want into. We've been beating y'all up for the last 2 weeks. Put us in the match, too. And then we'll get the Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania.
That's what's going to happen. But there's been no...
Then the next question is who wins the titles? Or who wins the titles, or does Boston Hug Connection retain? I feel like they could potentially put the titles on the IIconics.
I don't think so. I think you have to have the Boston Hug because it is at WrestleMania. I think you have to have them win.
Yeah, but I mean, if they were going to try and put over the IIconics and have them get a big push and be headliners for the division, then I think they would put them up or have them win at WrestleMania.
Would you really want them to win at WrestleMania? Your biggest event of the year, you're going to have the IIconics win?
I wouldn't want to see it personally because I don't really like the IIconics, but
Well, you don't like the IIconics because they squeal. You've already said you'd like them if they wouldn't really squeal and stuff. So
I would. Just cut out the squealing, and I'd be a fan. I mean, but no, probably not. They probably wouldn't put them over at WrestleMania just because this is WWE, and that's not what they would do. But it would be another big name, another name on top of the list of the division. Trying to put somebody else up there that isn't Sasha or Bayley, who already has a name built for them, because they've been doing this since NXT, and they're really over with everybody. So, hello Bendy. How are you?
I don't know. I just don't think. I mean, they have to keep the Boston Hug. They have to keep the titles. I don't like the four-way.
Unless they put them on Beth and Natalya.
I don't like that either. I think you have
So
to
then
keep
they
it...
can have Beth Phoenix come in and get her 5 minutes of fame or whatever, and then they have them lose the titles by
next night.
SummerSlam, and then Beth Phoenix announces that she was retiring again, and
she's achieved her goal of winning the titles and now wants to leave.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If they were to do that.
I suppose they could do that. I mean, that would
Then
be...
that would put Natalya back in the spotlight, too.
Yeah.
And then if they were going to do Natalya versus Lacey Evans, maybe they have Lacey Evans come out during their title defense match, if they were to do that. And she's Lacey Evans...
Is the reason they lose the titles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lacey Evans is distracts Natalya, and then that brings their feud to life on Raw.
Does WWE think that far ahead?
I don't know. I think that far ahead.
I know, but sometimes it seems like they don't. It's the same stuff over and over again. So,
But, I mean, if they wanted to put Lacey Evans in the ring with someone who has a lot of experience like Natalya, I mean, it would make sense.
yeah. So, I don't know if we said, but the IIconics
Got the win.
Um,
Then we have Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio comes out and announces that he will face Samoa Joe at...
Actually, it was a backstage thing,
Yeah.
and it was really funny because he brought his son in, and his son Dominic is like a lot taller than he is, and so
Everybody's taller than Rey Mysterio.
yeah, but he's like, you like look at them and you're like, that's your dad. Your dad is like this tall, and you're like this tall. How's that work? Boo. Yeah.
What are you booing for there, Bendy?
Because Bayley and her bendies, they lost.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really funny. People on Twitter were like, if I would have known better and he hadn't said, hey, that's my son, I would have been like, yo, that's Braun Strowman's son. Looks like Braun Strowman's son. He's like 25 feet tall. So that's Rey Mysterio's son. People were hamming it up on Twitter. It was so funny. But he announces that he will face Samoa Joe at WrestleMania for the U.S. title because he pinned him last week in their tag team match. What do you think of that?
Well, again, the way they've decided this, I don't like.
You got it. I told you. It's the bendies.
It's like ridiculous how they're determining how their matches are going to go and who's going to be wrestling for what.
I think Rey Mysterio will end up getting put over at WrestleMania and he will win the U.S. title because he is not. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
How are you? I think they'll put him over at WrestleMania just due to the fact that he has not won a big title in forever.
I hope that Samoa Joe throws him through a wall.
Recap to Kevin Nash throwing him into the side of the building.
Yes.
Crack. Oh. WCW days.
Yeah.
That was such a good NWO and it was so good.
That's why I have a hard time seeing Rey Mysterio beat some of these big guys just because I remember him being thrown through the side of a building thing.
It was so iconic though. Iconic.
It really wasn't a building. It was a
trailer.
Trailer.
And it like legit was like here and then like dent. His skull made an indentation in the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. He was like getting thrown around like a ragdoll. So Mr. Gleen.
It was awesome.
It was really cool. If you don't have the WWE Network, go buy it, Bendy.
Yes, you could see Rey
Because then you
Mysterio
can
get
see
thrown
Rey
through the side of a
Mysterio
building.
get thrown. Yeah. Such violence. It's no different than Fortnite. Just think of that.
Yeah, except for it's real people.
And
There's no guns.
pickaxes or guns. Or
Well, they could use a pickaxe. I've seen them use all kinds of things.
sledgehammer and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. So quite honestly, I see Rey Mysterio being put over so then he can get his big win at WrestleMania and win his first big title since he returned. That's what I see them doing. Will this match be on the pre-show or will it be on the main card?
It'll be on the main card.
Because it's Mojo.
I suppose it depends on how many matches they're going to have in the pre-card.
Well, there's talk that there's
Pre-show.
going to be 17 matches. It's way
Fork
different
knife.
than Fork Knife.
What is fork knife? Not sure what a fork knife is.
That's funny. That's like a new invention.
Well,
Fork knife.
technically it's not.
Actually,
because
it's
of
not new because there are fork knives.
Yes.
But you got like fork and stuff, and then you have like knife grady thingies, blade. I don't know what you would call it. And then you like cut your food.
No clue what you're talking about.
I don't either. but we have a fork like that in the drawer.
We do?
Yes.
Guess I've never seen
fork
it.
Knife. So that's what I see happening.
Or
Now,
maybe
whether
I just didn't use it the right way.
Now, whether or not this match is on the pre-show, I don't know. Like I said, there's like talk that there's going to be 17 matches in total. You need to play some games, Mr. Gleen.
Yes, definitely.
But there's talk that there's going to be 17 matches, and so 17 matches like divided between like probably 2-hour-long pre-show and then like a 7-hour-long, pay-per-view.
Yeah, they're making this pay-per-view wait. And considering
it'll start at noon and end at midnight.
Well, considering they're going to have a bunch of matches where there's like 4 people or 4 tag teams in a match, having that many matches is ridiculous.
Actually, I will find, for at the end of this, I will find a thing that talks about match card. And there are some rumored matches, and then there are also some matches that are
been announced. Yeah.
So next, my favorite segment of the evening was actually really... Shush.
That's all right.
Becky Lynch is in it, yes, but this is my favorite segment from the evening.
Because of Becky Lynch.
Yes, and because of Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was so funny in this segment. He is like the... I think they're trying to make him like the Elias and the Dean Ambrose of SmackDown. Because they don't have Elias on SmackDown.
So, in other words, they need to repeat their storylines and have a comedian
on every show. Why not just bring Lacey Evans? Wow. Looking through my Twitter and I see Lacey Evans. And then I'm like, why not just bring Lacey Evans out and have her be a comedian? No. Why not have Elias on SmackDown and Raw? WWE. Why?
Yeah. I'm waiting for the comedian to be on NXT.
Then send him back down to NXT
to practice.
So then he can practice. Yeah. Why not? So I thought the segment was hilarious. And Kevin Owens comes out and he says, "Welcome to the new and improved Kevin Owens show. It's new and improved because look at those graphics. And look at me. I'm all fancy schmancy with my clip-on tie here. And I dressed up. I dressed up for this, guys. It's the new and improved Kevin Owens show. It was so funny. And
it's like the new and improved Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. And so he's sitting there, he's talking about his show, and then he throws in talking about Kofi Kingston. Because why not?
Because they're setting up Kofi to lose.
Yeah, he says, "Kofi, I wish you the best of luck later in the evening, bud." I thought with all the people that they had come out and mention Kofi, I thought that they were going to come out at the end and, like...
high-five him and everything?
Like, be part of the reason why he wins.
Yeah.
Burn. For what for? I don't remember what we did that we get a burn for.
I'm not sure.
I don't know either. Burn, Bendy. Cool. Burn.
On fire.
On fire. That's what Kevin Owens is. He's on fire. So then he brings out Becky. And Becky comes out and she has no crutch, no knee brace, and very little limp. Next week, she will be cured.
Yes.
It's all the physical therapy and the magic
working
voodoo.
Hard. New and improved. There you are. Yes, new and improved. There's a burn. That's where you're going with that. Gotcha. It's a burn towards Daniel Bryan. Definitely.
Got it. So
we're ready to torch the World Heavyweight Championship belt.
It'll go up in flames pretty easily because it's made of
hemp.
Hemp. Just start in the backyard. Start the grill with that. Why not?
That's what they need to do. Sorry,
when Kofi wins it, they just need to have
let you down.
When Kofi wins it at WrestleMania, when he finally gets added to the match after forever, they have him have a bonfire on SmackDown that week where he goes, "Check this out," drop, and he burns the title. Typing is so slow, lol. Yeah, sometimes Bendy, sometimes that's an issue.
So then, anyway,
we were talking about Kofi burning the chair.
Becky Lynch comes out, has no limp, or very little limp.
Yeah, it was very little. Then they bring Charlotte out. And then Kevin Owens, he's in the ring, and he's got these, like, cards that say what he's supposed to say on it. And he goes, "Well, Ronda Rousey has said some very not nice things about you, Becky." And he, like, starts talking about, how last night on Raw, her husband attacked people. which, by the way, he apparently is banned from Raw. So says Ronda Rousey on Instagram and Twitter.
So he won't be there next week.
I was very tempted on this post to go, so, yes, Becky Lynch was suspended, and she enters the building, and she tries to go after you. She didn't even touch any of the, she didn't try to beat up the security guys or anything. But he comes in, he forearms the security guy in the face, and all he gets is banned from Raw. Does that make any sense to you?
They're tired of arresting
whatsoever?
people. They're tired of pressing charges and having.
They need to get another good cuff shot.
Yeah.
And more fake prison photos.
I think they could have added to it. I mean, Becky Lynch could have made fun of it.
They could have done something. Like, she didn't even talk about it tonight.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens mentioned it. He was like, oh, well, yesterday, Travis, he's banned from Raw and stuff. And then he gets a card that says something about, the Twitter stuff that happened. And he's like, whoa. This has vulgar language in it. I am not saying this on television. And he throws the card. This is not allowed on this TV show. And he throws the card. It was so funny. I was like, that is hilarious. And Becky Lynch is just sitting there. And she's like, yes. Yes, those good old days on Twitter. When I burned Ronnie so hard that she didn't know how to come back. The only thing she could come up with was my Irish dancing. Because, she's lame. And so she's sitting there, and then Owens goes, I'm tired of all this talk. My motto is fight Owens fight, but tonight it's fight Becky fight. And so Charlotte gets on the mic, and she says, you don't want to see that. You don't want to do that because I will beat her down in just a few seconds. And then Kevin Owens, he steps out of the ring, and he goes, now Becky, retaliate. And she just sucker punched her in the throat. It was so her iconic sucker punch.
Yes.
And then they brawled for a little bit. And then they just ended it by going to a backstage promo with AJ Styles, which I didn't quite get because they didn't really end it, so to speak. Becky Lynch got into the ring and was trying to slide out from the other side to go after Charlotte. But then they cut to a thing in the back and you could still hear the crowd chanting Becky. And so I was like, what? That's it? We don't get to see any more of this?
Well, and I think that, that's one of the issues right now with the way they've done storylines, the way they've done promos, the way they've cut into different things. I think right now they don't know what they're doing with those aspects of the show.
Yeah.
Last night they had promos in between times that they had someone come to the match or come to the ring for a match, and they'd have a promo. And then the other person would come out. So they really need to fix that and change the way they're doing that. Because the promos had nothing to do with any of the matches that were taking place.
Exactly.
So, this kind of falls into that. And obviously, with the crowd still chanting Becky, 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 there's still some stuff going on out at the ring that they could be
But you don't
showing
see
everybody.
it because we're back watching AJ Styles talk about Randy Orton, which is the next thing. He cuts a promo on Randy Orton. He says, oh, this is the house that Randy Orton says he built. Well, I'm going to burn it down. Or something along those lines. I don't think he actually stole Seth Rollins' catchphrase. But if he did, Seth Rollins should come for him. So he said something about that, along the lines of that, where he just kind of called out Randy Orton. And then he talked about Kofi yet again. He said, as for Kofi, later this evening, I wish him the best of luck. And I wish Randy Orton some luck, but Kofi's going to get the upper hand, and Kofi's going to go to Mania, because I believe that strongly in him. So, again, with Kofi, that's 3 times already. And we aren't even an hour into the show. So then, we have Daniel Bryan and Rowan. They come out and they talk about Kofi. And Daniel Bryan is on the mic, and he says, Kofi had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to get into a match at WrestleMania or to win the championship on his own. And time after time, he has failed. This is why he is a B-plus player. And then Kofi comes out, and that is the start of their gauntlet match, which took an hour. Just like the last gauntlet match they had. This is where I was like, so we got an hour of...
It's a long, drawn-out process. I understand what they're doing with it. They're trying to get a Kofi over as being this, like superhuman that can overcome anything and wrestle for, an hour against some of, the better wrestlers out there.
Which he's done twice, by the way.
And so I get that concept of what they're doing. I don't like it.
Yeah. I think it just takes a lot of time from the show, and you only get to see an hour of something else, which in the long run, we saw The Miz, we saw one match, then we saw Rey Mysterio backstage, we saw the Kevin Owens and Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair thing, and then we saw AJ Styles. So out of that whole thing, we got one match out of that, and a segment and a promo.
Well, it's like they couldn't come up with any storylines. Overall, I thought it was a decent show for what it was.
I did too.
But
for being 3 weeks away from WrestleMania.
And if you're trying to
was it at WrestleMania standards?
If you're trying to get storylines out there and trying to create storylines and trying to add to storylines, I don't think they really did anything with that.
Yeah.
If I was just to watch this without having WrestleMania coming up and trying to create some of the storylines, I would have said this was a pretty solid SmackDown.
Yeah.
But
would you guess that WrestleMania? Wait. Would you guess, if you watch this not knowing when WrestleMania is and not knowing anything that's happening here, would you have said, "Oh, this would have been a WrestleMania worthy SmackDown"? 3 weeks away from WrestleMania.
If I hadn't already seen some of this happen, yeah, I would say it's probably a WrestleMania SmackDown.
Okay. I was just wondering.
The issue is you've already seen a lot of this already go through and already happened, so I think it's just repeating itself. And, you lose fans, you lose interest, and people don't like to watch this. And when you see the same thing over and over again, it's kind of irritating and frustrating as a fan, and people get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And you knew how it was going to end. Kofi goes through the whole gauntlet, and Vince McMahon comes out, tells him that, hey, you have done a good job, Kofi, way to be. But now you got one more person you have to beat.
But. Yeah, one more person. Why not?
So Daniel,
you already beat up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. Let's make it 6 now. Why not?
So Daniel Bryan comes out, and again, it wasn't a real good match just because you got Kofi at the end of...
He did kick out a couple times, which gave the fans a little bit of hope, but then they were just ultimately... It was like putting candy in front of a baby.
Yeah, it's just kind of a repeat of what's been happening.
So now the next question is, how do they get Kofi in that match? You have 2 weeks.
Here's where I think they could go with it. I don't know if they will. You had all these people getting up and saying, hey, Kofi this, Kofi's that. And
they get behind Kofi, and then they...
And so these people, all these wrestlers that are behind Kofi step up and say, hey, you know what, Vince? You don't own any of us. We refuse to wrestle until Kofi is put in the match.
That is 100% a possibility. Now, mind you, while this match is happening, the gauntlet match is happening. Gauntlet, whoa. Kofi gets through Sheamus, he gets through Cesaro, he gets through Rowan, which Rowan actually eliminated himself when he hit Kofi with a chair. So that was kind of, he didn't even really fight him. And then he had Samoa Joe, and he eliminated him, and then he got to Randy Orton, and he eliminated him. Now, while this match was going on, they kept showing backstage segments where it started off with the New Day and the Usos being backstage watching the match. And then by the second time we came back, there were like 3 more people added to that. And then there were like 3 more people added to that. And they showed this segment a whole bunch of times until there were so many people backstage that they almost didn't even all fit in the camera frame.
Well, this is why I think...
And where they were like, oh yeah, come on, Kofi, you got this. Like, you're going to go to WrestleMania. And then they finally got to the segment where he won. And they were all like, woohoo! And New Day was running out. And they were all like excited. And then they got the bomb dropped on him by Vince.
Well, this is why I think you can see the storyline where all of them come out and they go, we refuse to do anything. You don't own us.
This is not cool. Kofi should have gotten this match from the very beginning.
If you listen,
I want to see Mustafa Ali come out and lead that and be like, yo, dude, this guy has worked off harder. This guy has worked harder the last couple weeks, since Elimination Chamber, when I got injured. This guy has worked harder than anybody on this roster. And you're going to sit here and say that he is not worthy of a title opportunity? Are you kidding me, Vince? And then that's when we have the rest of everybody, AJ Styles, The Miz, and where The Miz already has issues with Shane right now, it just adds to it where he's like, all right, I'm going to rebel against you because...
the thing is, you've seen all these wrestlers come out and say, you don't own us, you're not in control of us. What would be a better way for them to come out and make a statement that, hey, we all stand together, Kofi Kingston deserves a shot at the title.
I want to see them open SmackDown with that next week.
What those of you out there that are watching, what do you think? How are they going to put Kofi Kingston in the title match? I mean, already they've kind of shot him down with everything Vince has done. Right now. And obviously, right now, with the storyline they're throwing out there, Vince doesn't want him in.
Obviously.
So, what are your thoughts on how they're going to get Kofi Kingston in? I think that doing it the way I said it with him,
that would make a lot of sense. Where the talent is like, hey, you're going to lose your WrestleMania card because we're saying bye-bye. See you later. We're not wrestling until you put Kofi in that match because that's not cool. He's worked his butt off. He deserves it.
Could that be, as weird as this sounds, you have 17 matches or however many matches there's going to be. You have all these wrestlers that are going to wrestle. Could it be kind of the storyline that all these wrestlers are going to step up and go, we refuse to do it. We're not going to put on these matches because you don't own us. And Kofi Kingston deserves a title shot.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know if
rivalry.
I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but that's something that, with all of them stepping up and saying, "You don't own us," I wouldn't be shocked to see them do it this way or do it that way.
I would not either. I think it would work with the storyline right now, and I think it would be a big statement. And I think people would go, oh, put Kofi in that match.
Yeah.
The fans are already behind Kofi. The only thing holding him back now is Vince.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
And, I mean, it's not cool, man. Not cool. This is why nobody likes you. Because you ruin things like this. You suspend Becky Lynch. And then you take Kofi out of the biggest match of his career. Tisk, 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 Vince McMahon. Like I said, this is why nobody likes you. So I did find the WrestleMania card that we have right now. And then there are also some rumored matches for WrestleMania 35. And the total number, I will tell you all that. So Alexa Bliss is the host. But I will say, R-Truth and Carmelo put up it was R-Truth. He put up a tweet, and he was like, it was a video of him and Mella. And he pulled a paper out of his pocket, and he goes, guess what? We're the hosts of WrestleMania. And Carmelo's like, what? Alexa Bliss is the host. And he's like, no. This, we're the hosts. Not Alexa. So, I mean, I'm assuming we're probably going to have him come out and be like,
probably because
welcome to WrestleMania. Yeah. And then Alexa Bliss will come out and be like, oh, no, I'm the host. Get out of here. It'll be a funny segment, I think. To kind of kick off WrestleMania, I guess.
Yeah.
It'd be even funnier if you interrupted Elias. And then we end up seeing R-Truth versus Elias.
Yeah.
And they put Elias out for the rest of the evening instead of him being the musical guest.
Yeah.
Which he is. He's the musical guest for WrestleMania 35. Then we have the Universal Championship match. Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Already announced. Haven't done much with that, so I don't think it'll be a main event match.
Who knows? It's Brock Lesnar.
They won't put him in the main event.
Who knows? It's Brock Lesnar.
Triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. Tonight, it was announced on 205 Live. Well, the 205 Live match happened between Cedric Alexander and Tony Nese. And Tony Nese ended up becoming victorious in that match. So he will go on to face Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. I thought they were going to have Cedric Alexander.
That's what I thought, too.
Just because I think he's bigger and he is more popular.
Well, they're probably trying to get Tony Nese over.
Probably.
So.
Rey Mysterio versus Samoa Joe for the United States Championship. So how many matches is that thus far? That's 4. Triple H versus Batista, no holds barred. Farewell match for Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. And I saw on WWE.com that after the show went off the air, there was a video, like an interview with Kurt, where he was like, he said something about wanting a better opponent or something like that. He was like, well, you know, this is my match. And I saw somewhere that he talked about wanting a more high-profile match than Baron Corbin for his last match.
Well,
ever.
Here's why did they
But
bring...
what doesn't make sense to me with that is he was like, well, Steph and Hunter have let me make the decision as to who I want to be my opponent. And then he announces, this is the guy who has given me the most trouble even since I was the general manager months ago, Baron Corbin. And that's who I want to fight in my last match at WrestleMania.
Why did they have Baron Corbin come out at the end last night and attack Seth Rollins?
I don't know.
After Raw went off the air, you know, Corbin comes out and attacks Rollins for what reason?
Help Drew McIntyre, I guess.
McIntyre wasn't even in the ring. So why?
I have no idea. 6 matches now. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We have Miz versus Shane. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. And then the rest of these are rumored matches for WrestleMania. So that is, I don't know how many matches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches that have already been confirmed on top of the ones that have been rumored, which is Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Multi-woman match for the SmackDown Women's title, which would be Asuka. And the talk is Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville would be the people in that match. Multi-team match for the women's tag team titles. Beth Phoenix and Natalya versus Tamina and Nia versus Sasha and Bayley. And then IIconics are the one that are being speculated as to who might be in that match. Multi-team match for the Raw tag team titles. Ricochet and Aleister Black versus the Revival versus probably Rude and Gable would be the third team, I would assume, because they're trying to put them back in the tag team spot. Multi-team match for the SmackDown tag team titles. The Hardys versus The Bar versus Nakamura and Rusev versus the Usos versus somebody else. New Day, maybe?
Who knows?
And then a multi-man match for the Intercontinental Championship. Bobby Lashley versus Finn Balor would make most sense to me. And then Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre is the one that we got to see a glimpse of yesterday, where he called him out and said, hey, I want a match with you at WrestleMania, but it has not been confirmed yet. And then the second annual WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches that are rumored.
On top of the 8.
On top of the 8 that you already have.
It just seems like they want to just throw as many people into this as possible.
Yes.
And I don't like the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
I suppose, they're trying to get everybody over and seen.
Well, they're trying to get everybody on
WrestleMania
event. Because, like you said, it's the biggest.
But it still doesn't make sense.
It's the biggest pay-per-view. They do it every year.
The thing is, it's still just a pay-per-view, and, you're trying to lead up to storylines leading up to that, and you're not doing it very well.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous what they're doing.
Yeah.
So then, hopefully they fix things and, figure out how the fans aren't happy.
Apparently, this was up 4 minutes ago. It says things are going to get a little more complicated between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville because they will face Carmella and Naomi separately next week. The winner will face Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania.
What?
It says Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are going to face Carmella and Naomi separately next week, so in singles matches. Whoever wins that goes on to face Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania.
So that means that both of them are going to be in the title match. That's basically what that's saying.
I would assume so.
Because you're going to have 2 different matches.
But it says... What? How does that make any sense at all?
I don't know. It says the winner. It should say the winners will face.
The winner will face Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title.
It should say the winners will face Asuka.
And if they're facing them
so it's going to be a triple threat match.
And we already know that Mandy and Sonya are probably going to win.
No, not probably. They're going to win.
So, did that tweet make any sense to you at all?
Well, it makes sense. They should have said the winners are going to will face Asuka for a triple threat match.
I guess I'd make that.
I mean, because
Dumb
that's what's
way to
going
do
happen.
it. Dumb way to do it.
So I think that's pretty much what happened tonight.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
No, not really. I don't think so. WrestleMania is looking to be like a stacked pay-per-view.
It's gonna be a lot of matches.
Tell you that right now.
I don't know how good it's gonna be. Just the
It
way
could
it's
be a
going
long
right
one.
now. They like I said, they've killed the thing with Becky and Ronda. Who knows, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, I don't think is really getting a big pop.
No, because Brock Lesnar's not on TV.
The only big pop they got right now is Kofi Kingston.
I will tell you that if you watch the Becky Lynch and the Kofi segment, both of them got about the same amount of pop. Like, Becky got more pop this week than she has in such a long
that's because
time.
she got rid of her crutch. I mean,
And it was very close to the Kofi, like, pop that he got.
well, she got rid of her crutch, and so that's part of why she
There's
got
barely any
the
lymph
pop.
left, so,
So
Next week, like I said, she'll be healed.
yeah. I think that we will end it now.
I think so.
We stream every Monday night after Raw. We stream Tuesdays after SmackDown. We will stream tomorrow night after NXT. We will stream in a couple weeks.
We
we'll
have
a pay-per-view prediction show.
TakeOver. We have
lot going
TakeOver
on in a
and
couple weeks.
WrestleMania prediction show. We have Hall of Fame. We have WrestleMania. Oh, Raw SmackDown, per usual. We have a lot.
Yeah, because we're about two weeks away from WrestleMania.
Yes, 2 weeks.
So, we're getting closer to that. Make sure that you
subscribe.
hit
Click the little bell.
Click the bell button thingy.
Bell button thingy.
The bell thing.
The bell thing.
And that way you know when we go live.
Yep.
Like our show. Anything else to add?
You can find us on Twitter at Maven Gleen.
Maven Gleen.
And
That's you.
That's me.
You can find me
Maven
at
Gleen.
Mr. Gleen.
You can find him at Mr. Gleen.
That's me.
Uh-huh.
Good job. Do that again.
Mr. Gleen.
And then you can find us at the Wrestle Story.
The Wrestle Story.
So,
We
check
will be
us
back
out.
tomorrow for NXT.
If you shoot us questions on Twitter, we'll answer them. If you shoot us questions on our comment section, we'll answer them. We want to be interactive with you people.
You people.
You people.
Snazzy.
What's snazzy?
Betty. Very, very snazzy.
You people.
So, we will be back tomorrow for NXT. Recapping that. Triple H is supposed to be on talking about Ciampa and his injury and how he's going to have the title put up for grabs.
Yes. So check us out tomorrow. We'll let you know what happens.
I'm curious to see what happens.
We
Cannot
will
wait.
Keep you informed of NXT.
So until then,
Until then, check us out tomorrow. See you people later.
peace.
Peace out.